The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. A third-gen idol's shocking courtroom confession just shattered his pristine image forever. Welcome to Starscope K-Report. Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
We really do.
And we are looking at a massive stack of sources today. I mean, we've got reports from Koreaboo, deep investigative pieces from the Dankook Herald, threads from Reddit, and video essays from YouTube.
Yeah, the sheer volume of news breaking today is honestly staggering. It feels like the entire structural foundation of the industry is just shifting all at once.
Right, which is exactly why our mission for this deep dive is to explore the dark underbelly of K-entertainment. We're tracing a direct line from a career-ending military confession all the way up to the systemic, suffocating company favoritism that is currently tearing major groups apart. And then, we are turning the lens on the fans to examine the toxic ways fandoms are holding idols accountable. So let's just jump straight into the bold headline that has every group chat on fire right now. We are talking about winner Song Minho and this massive military favoritism scandal.
Yeah.
Because the details coming out of the courtroom today, July 14th, 2026, are genuinely hard to process.
Right. So to understand the gravity of this, we really need to look at the mechanics of the trial. Minho appeared in court today as a witness, not the defendant. The person on trial is his former public service supervisor, currently identified only as Mr. A.
Okay.
And the core accusation is that Mr. A abused his government position to grant Minho preferential treatment during his mandatory military service. Under oath, Minho actually admitted to having a deeply personal relationship with the superior.
Wait, let's look at the actual timeline of this relationship, though. I mean, he admitted to exchanging cash and taking vacations with his boss while serving.
Yeah, exactly.
The reports specify that Minho lent Mr. A money, went on a 2-day fishing trip with him, and was even dispensing advice on Mr. A's child's dance activities. Like, how does a public figure justify taking a vacation with their military supervisor during active duty?
Well, Minho's legal defense relies entirely on redefining that dynamic. He told the court, it was simply a friendship that developed during my service. He firmly denied that he expected any special treatment in return for the cash or the trips.
Do people actually buy that, though?
Not the prosecution, that's for sure. The legal reality is much bleaker. The prosecution sees a clear transactional relationship. In a separate but connected case regarding Minho's military service violation, they have already requested a sentence of 18 months in prison.
18 months. Wow.
Yeah, it's serious.
That is a career-ending number right there. And the domestic backlash reflects that. I mean, K-necks are absolutely merciless right now. If you look at the trial photos circulating online, Minho looks entirely stripped of the sharp, polished idol persona.
He really does.
Media outlets are calling his appearance gaunt, but the comments are brutal. Netizens are saying he looks 50, claiming he ruined his celebrity career because he couldn't endure the time others pushed through. And the loudest anger is coming from fans who feel he selfishly dragged down his own group, Winner, along with legendary variety shows like New Journey to the West.
Yeah.
The public just turned on the group's visual the absolute second the pristine halo slipped.
We have to look at the mechanism of public trust in South Korea. The military draft is the ultimate social equalizer. Every able-bodied male, regardless of wealth or status, is expected to serve under the exact same grueling conditions.
Right, there's no VIP pass.
Exactly. When a celebrity leverages their wealth, like lending money to a supervisor to soften that experience, it breaks an unspoken social contract. It's not just a legal violation, it is a profound cultural betrayal.
That makes total sense.
The pedestal K-pop builds for its stars is astronomical, but the moment that illusion of shared sacrifice is broken, the fall is catastrophic.
And the fall is happening in real time. But this kind of entitlement and a preferential treatment, it doesn't just materialize out of nowhere. It is learned behavior. And wait till you hear what netizens uncovered next, because military favoritism is child's play compared to the blatant systemic favoritism happening inside the K-pop agencies themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
If you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to Starscope K-Report. We're getting bigger scoops ahead.
So we really need to connect this sense of entitlement directly to the financial architecture of the K-pop industry. According to an incredibly detailed report from the Dankook Herald, the root of this structural inequality lies in the entrenched A and R system. artist and repertoire.
The people who actually discover and sign the idols.
Exactly. They discover, sign, and develop these artists. But the financial mechanics are just brutal. It can cost upward of $2 to $3 million just to train, house, and debut a single idol group.
And the market is entirely saturated. I mean, hundreds of groups debut every year, and maybe like 3 of them actually survive.
Right, which means the agencies operate from a place of intense, chronic financial anxiety. To guarantee a return on that massive investment, they don't distribute their resources evenly. They ruthlessly push the most profitable member.
Wow.
Think of it like building a massive skyscraper on a single reinforced pillar while leaving the rest of the foundation hollow. It ensures short-term height, but it guarantees long-term structural collapse.
That is such a good way to put it.
This financial model necessitates incredibly unfair contracts, extreme surveillance like 247 cameras in trainee dorms, and blatant unequal treatment among group members.
And we see this single pillar strategy play out visually on stage all the time. It's like this cinematic stage-level reality. Look at IVE's Won Young. During the KBS Gayo Daechukche, the stylists dressed her in a stark, stunning white outfit, while every single one of her group members was dressed in flat black.
I remember that.
They literally looked like her backup dancers. Or look at Baby Monster's recent line distributions. You have Ahayan getting 29 seconds of vocal time in a single track, while Rora gets barely 11 seconds. The company is physically forcing your eyes and ears toward their chosen investment.
Yeah, they are manufacturing a hierarchy right in front of the audience.
But let me push back on this from a purely boardroom perspective. If an agency is drowning in trainee debt and spends millions to launch a group, doesn't it make absolute financial sense to push the bias who draws the most fans?
From a traditional business standpoint, sure.
If we look at this like a basketball game, in the final 10 seconds, you give the ball to your star player. You want your highest scorer taking the shot, right?
That is a very common boardroom mentality, but it fundamentally misunderstands the product being sold. A sports team rotates its roster based on athletic performance. A K-pop group monetizes the illusion of a unified, deeply bonded family.
Ah, right.
When an agency blatantly favors one member, it shatters that illusion. It breeds intense resentment inside the dorms, but more dangerously, it fractures the fandom.
That's where the solo stands come in.
Exactly. You end up with these massive civil wars where solo stands of the popular member actively sabotage the fans of the overall group. We have seen the legal disaster this causes. Look at Chuu's violent exit from LOONA, or the absolute contract meltdown with 50/50.
Oh, 50/50 was such a mess.
Favoritism doesn't save the company money. It inevitably ends in multi-million-dollar lawsuits over profit distribution and workplace mistreatment.
And Kepmer's Bahai is just the perfect current example of this mismanagement. Her agency, Waigodi, essentially ghosts her when it comes to promotion. Her solo schedules and brand deals are driven entirely by her solo stands fighting tooth and nail for her visibility online.
It's incredibly frustrating for the fans.
And contrast that chaotic neglect with how smoothly Waikyu manages the boys in Zero Basan, and the double standard is blinding.
But this resentment doesn't just breed among the idols or the fans, it breeds in the corporate suites too, which brings us to the absolute chaos at HYBE.
Oh man, the HYBE drama.
The ongoing war between New Jeans and the newer groups, Le Sserafim and Elite, is basically the A&R favoritism model playing out at the CEO level.
It is a full-blown corporate civil war spilling onto our timelines.
Yeah.
Former Adore CEO Min Hee-jin has publicly claimed that HYBE explicitly broke their boardroom promise to debut New Jeans as the label's very first girl group.
Right.
Instead, they strategically pushed Le Sserafim to debut first, specifically to capitalize on Sakura and Shaewon's existing fame from iZone.
Yeah, and HYBE operates on a multi-label system. They acquired Adore, Source Music, and Pledis to decentralize their power and avoid these exact bottlenecks, but instead it just created internal cannibalization.
Totally.
Min Hee-jin felt her group was being systematically sidelined, and the mechanics of the neglect coming from HYBE's founder Bang PD are highly irregular for a corporate executive.
Irregular is putting it mildly. We're talking about a billionaire CEO who reportedly refused to take a single photo with New Jeans, which is unheard of for a company's flagship producer.
It really is.
And he sent deeply passive-aggressive text messages to Min Hee-jin when New Jeans' track Ditto charted on the Billboard Hot 100. He texted her, "Are you happy? Why are you laughing? I'm really curious. Oh, are you enjoying this?"
So unprofessional.
That is not a boss celebrating a massive revenue win. That is a rival fan disguised as an executive.
It just illustrates how personal ego overrides corporate strategy. This resentment allegedly extended to New Jeans' recent comeback, Bubblegum, which HYBE purportedly refused to promote through their standard global channels.
It's just wild.
But while domestic artists deal with executive ego, foreign idols face an entirely different, highly legalized tier of mistreatment based on international royalty loopholes.
This part makes me so mad. Blackpink's Lisa is arguably one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. Yet early in her career, she was paid significantly less in royalties simply because she is Thai. CLC's Sorn came out and explicitly stated she experienced the exact same financial drain.
The mechanism behind this is rooted in international copyright treaties. South Korea has reciprocal performance royalty agreements with many countries, meaning if a Korean song plays in Japan, Japanese agencies collect the royalties and send them to Korea, and vice versa.
Great, standard stuff.
However, Thailand and Korea lacked a comprehensive reciprocal agreement for certain types of performer royalties. So instead of making the artist whole, agencies legally exploit this gap. They pocket the difference or pay the foreign idol a fraction of what their Korean group mates earn for the exact same studio session.
It's legalized wage theft. And YG Entertainment notoriously compounded this by holding Lisa back creatively. They rejected massive solo brand deals for her, keeping her locked in the dungeon, while simultaneously allowing her to be scammed out of $1 billion by her own manager.
It's awful.
She didn't have family in Korea to monitor her finances, and the company completely failed their duty of care.
The overarching theme here is control. These agencies exert absolute surveillance over the artists' daily lives, but the moment it comes to equitable pay or physical protection, they rely on legal loopholes to become entirely passive.
Which is exactly why the pressure cooker is finally exploding today. And that's not even the wildest part of today's KT. Later in the deep dive, we need to talk about a viral list that is tearing netizens apart and a mass exodus hitting JYP Entertainment today.
The structural instability we just broke down is reaching critical mass across the entire industry.
It feels like the Hallyu wave is physically crashing around us. Just today, July 14th, a beloved 5-member boy group collapsed out of nowhere, announcing a sudden, indefinite hiatus, with all but one member departing the agency.
Yeah, it's a bloodbath today.
Over at HYBE and Geffen's upcoming global girl group, Saint Satine, Lexi abruptly exited the lineup after being slammed by an online hate campaign labeling her a bully. And rumors are raging like wildfire that Twice E members Jihoo, Tsuyu, and Sana are officially walking away from JYP Entertainment amidst their contract renewals.
We are seeing a simultaneous collapse because the standard 7-year contract renewal cycles are hitting a wall. Idols are realizing they can generate more revenue independently, unburdened by the staggering trainee debt structures and the A&R favoritism we discussed.
They're waking up to their worth.
Exactly. But while the agencies are failing from the top down, we have to examine how the fandoms are operating from the bottom up. The policing of these idols has become deeply warped.
Oh, yes. Let's look at this viral, problematic K-pop male idols list spreading across X right now. It has triggered a massive, vicious debate.
Because the list completely obliterates the concept of proportionality. Netizens have crowdsourced this ranking of problematic idols, and they have literally placed Zero Bessoni's Gunwook, whose grand offense is a rumor about having a bad attitude, off camera, and BTS's Suga, who was involved in a scooter DUI incident, on the exact same graphic as former idols Tail and Seungri.
Which is mind-blowing. How can anyone look at a guy who fell off an electric scooter or a rookie who supposedly didn't smile enough at a music show broadcast and seat them at the exact same table as a convicted criminal?
It's dangerous.
It completely undermines the actual victims of real violent crimes.
We really have to remember what a real scandal looks like. The 2019 Burning Sun scandal involving Seungri and Jung Joon Young was not a PR crisis about a bad attitude.
Not at all.
It was a sprawling, horrific criminal network. We are talking about the systemic operation of undercover prostitution rings, the illicit filming and distribution of hidden camera videos, and horrific sexual assault. Seungri served a prison sentence for his role in this enterprise.
Right.
Equating a scooter violation or a grumpy demeanor to a localized criminal syndicate involving systemic violence against women is not just absurd, it is deeply offensive to the survivors.
Exactly. When every single misstep is given the exact same label of problematic, the word loses all meaning. It just becomes an empty weapon for fan wars. If everyone is a monster, no one is. But it genuinely doesn't have to be this toxic. Fandoms and companies actually have a blueprint for handling accountability in a healthy way.
They do. We can look back to 2016 when Big Hit Entertainment provided an absolute masterclass in corporate accountability. Fans raised legitimate concerns about misogynistic undertones in some of BTS's older lyrics.
Specifically referencing RM's track joke, lines from Converse High, and an old tweet from Suga.
Right. And the fans mobilized, but not to destroy them. They trended the hashtag "We Want Feedback from BTS."
They weren't trying to cancel the group, they were demanding growth.
And Big Hit's response was dignified. They didn't deploy a defensive legal team or issue a generic PR deflection. They issued a self-reflective apology.
Which is so rare.
Very. They explicitly acknowledged that the lyrics could be perceived as misogynistic regardless of the creator's original intent. They promised to subject future works to stricter review, openly admitting that the company and the artists were still learning. It was accountability without the necessity of destruction.
It was a conversation, not a public execution. But today, the pressure on Korean celebrities to conform to public demands has reached a boiling point, and it's no longer just about pop culture. It is bleeding heavily into politics. We are seeing this right now with actress Park Bo-young.
Now, looking at Park Bo-young's situation, we want to be very clear to you listening at home. We aren't here to take sides on the left-wing or right-wing politics of the recent elections. Our focus is purely on the mechanics of how this intense political pressure gets weaponized against celebrities.
Right, we're just reporting the facts here. To lay out those facts, during the recent local elections on June 3rd, several polling stations in Seoul experienced a ballot shortage. This ignited massive, politically charged protests. Demonstrators demanded the vote count be halted and physically blocked ballot boxes from being transported.
And these protests became heavily associated with far-right election fraud rhetoric and supporters of former President Yoon Suk-yeol. Now, Park Bo-young had previously been vocal in her support for protests against the former president's martial law declarations.
Because she spoke up then, the current protesters flooded her social media, aggressively demanding she speak out about this ballot shortage now.
Yeah.
They were literally leaving comments demanding she pay for the protesters' coffee to prove her solidarity. When she finally responded on a fan communication platform, she simply called the aggressive commenters weirdos and stated she wasn't going to be bullied by them. Immediately, her Instagram comment section transformed into an absolute war zone of political hate.
It perfectly illustrates the impossible standard K-entertainment stars face today. Idols and actors are no longer allowed to just be entertainers or even just private citizens with their own opinions.
It's too much.
They are expected to function as flawless moral avatars who must perfectly marry the political and social demands of whichever faction is screaming the loudest on any given day.
It is an entirely unsustainable way to live. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a deep dive into the real stories behind the glamour of K-pop.
When you synthesize all the mechanics we've unpacked today, I mean the intense 24/7 agency surveillance, the entirely one-sided financial structure of A&R contracts, the international royalty theft, and an unforgiving public that weaponizes fan wars to equate a scooter accident with a sprawling criminal sex scandal, it raises a critical question about the future of the Hallyu wave.
It really does. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to mull over. Are we watching the K-pop industry slowly crush its own stars under the weight of these impossible expectations? And will this extreme boiling point pressure finally trigger a massive labor revolution in South Korea? A revolution where idols break free from the single-pillar agency model and are finally treated as actual workers with concrete legal protections rather than just disposable, perfectly packaged products.
It is a structural reckoning the industry cannot afford to ignore for much longer.
You've been listening to Starscope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.